Welcome back to Eating in April's, and today you can hear that hissing. I got started without you. I cheated. I am cooking something that I cook once a week. It's the ham and sausage jambalaya recipe from the African American Heritage Cookbook, and I have been cooking out of this cookbook for 20 years. This particular recipe, I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. It's on page 90. And it's 2 large yellow onions chopped. I use 2 big bunches of green onions. 1 large green bell pepper chopped. I use 1½ 1 cup chopped celery. 4 garlic cloves minced. You can leave those out if you need to. 3 tablespoons bacon drippings, or you can use any oil you want. I just use olive oil or butter. A pound of smoked sausage or kielbasa sliced a 1/2 inch thick. A 1/2 cup tomato sauce. 4 medium tomatoes peeled and chopped. I use 6 Roma tomatoes and I don't peel them. I just leave the skin on. 3/4 pound ham cut into large cubes. 1/2 teaspoon Tabasco, 2 bay leaves, 1/2 teaspoon dried thyme crumbled, 1/4 teaspoon basil, 1/4 teaspoon paprika, 1½ teaspoons cayenne pepper, 1/4 teaspoon whole allspice, 4 cups chicken broth, and last but not least, 1½ cups uncooked long grain rice. Okay, so I'm going to tilt the screen and we're going to get started. I already chopped most everything, and I have what is called the Holy Trinity of Cajun cooking going right here. The oil, of course, with the bell pepper and the onion and the celery. So they say to cook that for about 8 to 10 minutes until the vegetables are soft. And I've got it about halfway done. Once that gets finished, what you're going to do, see, I cheated again. You're going to put all your spices in the bowl, and you're going to have your tomato sauce and your tomatoes in here, and then I'll show you what else. This is what I use. I use the Oscar Mayer all natural kielbasa, but it's turkey sausage and it is uncured. So you're going to have a lot less fat and you're going to have a lot less sodium than you would in the beef product, or you can use that if you want. And I also use the uncured ham. Very easy. What's going to happen is this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to slice up this kielbasa. I'm going to tilt this so that you can watch me over here. And that's going to go in with the vegetables while they're finishing up. It doesn't take very long, and I slice this in about 16 or 18 pieces. So you can watch me do that. Now, I did not know, there's a couple of different ways of making jambalaya. This is the only kind I have ever made. You can, of course, make it with seafood. You can use chicken. But there's 2 variations. One calls for tomatoes and one doesn't. I did not know that. So here we go. So you're slicing this up. And this is just so quick. Make sure not to cut your fingers, as I have done many times. Ooh! Doesn't that sound wonderful? See that smoke rising from the kettle? It's just so beautiful. Piece of cake. This is all just going to go right in there, just like that. What you want to do is heat this sausage through before you combine anything else in there. And you can put the sausage in when you first start the vegetables, but I don't. The wonderful thing about buying your ham already chopped up is that's just one step that you don't have to do. But if you have a kind of ham that you really like, or if you want to use leftover ham to do this, chop away. See, these are in very small pieces. You can cut larger chunks if you want to. And this is 8 ounces, and I use 2 8-ounce ones, so there's probably a little extra meat. It's wonderful. Okay, Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. And I usually use a low sodium broth, but today I'm going to use bone broth because I feel like it. And one thing I will say, if you want to use more or less oil, you go for it. All right, now you see that's broken down really nicely. And then I'm going to dump all of this in there. Be very careful because you got a lot of spicy stuff in there. You don't want to dump it on yourself. Just going to bring this over just a little bit more so you can see that a little bit better. Isn't that gorgeous? Let me very carefully stir this up. You can use a larger pot if you want to also, but you don't have to. This is just the perfect size pot for this, and you see I baked the pie already today. You may have noticed in the background I had a mess over at the sink. I've already been frying fish for my husband and making mashed potatoes today, so finish that up. And later I'm going to make this week's batch of no-bake cookies. Okay, now you want to turn your heat back up because you want to bring this to a simmer. You're going to want to bring this to a simmer because the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put the broth in, but not yet. You want to soften these tomatoes just a little bit. I suppose what you could do if you want to be real slick, you could run your tomatoes through a blender to soften it all up, but I've never done that. I do like the solid tomato pieces in this. I wish you could smell this. It smells so good. And another thing that I do is I don't use the Tabasco sauce. I just put a little bit of extra cayenne pepper in. You can use all Tabasco sauce. You can use all red pepper. If you don't like the spicy stuff, leave it out. That's okay too. Turn this up a little bit more. Now, I did a little bit of reading, so I've got my notes here. This is a Louisiana dish that has roots from Spain, France, and West Africa. And I don't know how to pronounce this, so go ahead and laugh at me. This was the Spanish people's attempt to make their paella when they came over here. I don't know if it's paella or paella. That's how it's spelled. And they found they were having a hard time sometimes importing saffron, so they threw the tomatoes in there to kind of give it a difference. And it's also similar to West Africa's jollof rice, which I've never made. I need to make that because it's supposedly really good. And over in West Africa, when they were making it, and still to this day, it was just a stew of whatever you had on hand. Now we can import things and get things year-round, so we can pretty much make the same dish all 4 seasons. But so it's pretty much a combination of these 2 dishes. And the Creole jambalaya has the tomatoes, but the Cajun does not. And the first time that it appeared in print was in 1837. That's when that word was used the first time. But the first time it was in a cookbook was in 1878. It was in a Mobile, Alabama publication called Gulf City Cookbook, and it was published by a bunch of ladies who got together at the St. Francis Methodist Episcopal Church. It's just a little interesting to know the history of these dishes, in my opinion. Okay, we've got this to a boil. You're supposed to simmer uncovered for 15 minutes. My goodness gracious. And I'm not going to keep you on here talking for 15 minutes, but the next thing you're going to do, it doesn't have to be exactly 15 minutes. It can be between 10 and 20 minutes, however long you feel like it takes for the tomatoes to break down to the point that you want them to. And then the next thing you're going to do, I'm going to save you time, pour 4 cups of your chicken broth in there, or you can use vegetable broth if you want to, but this is not a vegetarian dish, so use your chicken broth and use your low sodium, and if you want to use bone broth, pour all 4 cups in there, bring it to a rolling boil, and put your 1.5 cups of uncooked white rice in there. And then you're going to reduce the heat to low, just like you're making any rice dish. and you're going to put the lid on and you're going to cook it till it's done. The instructions say to cook for 15 minutes, but I cook it for 20 or 25 minutes, sometimes up to 30 minutes, because this is going to be slow cooked. This is a lot of rice, and you want it to be just absolutely perfect. And what I do with it, I fill 4 of these up. I divvy this up between 4 of these, and this freezes extremely well. I pop it straight in the freezer, and then I wash my dishes, and it's 4 days worth of lunches. It is really fantastic. I cannot recommend this dish enough to you. If you don't like the spicy foods, I get it, but you can cook it for people who do, and they'll think that you're just fantastic. 90% of the work in this is measuring everything out and chopping everything out, and then because you see how much hard work this is. It's not. You're just basically waiting for everything to get the right temperature. You're going to be raising the heat, you're going to be lowering the heat, and you're going to be stirring. I'm going to let this go for another 10 minutes. And I better get off here so I can let you go to the grocery store and buy the things for this. So enjoy this wonderful recipe, and if you do not have a copy of this cookbook yet, I have been cooking so many things out of this for 20 years, you must get a copy of this. All right, this is ham and sausage jambalaya from the African American Heritage Cookbook at Eating in April's, and I will see you next time.